Hello, my name is Susan Smith and I work for the Exceptional Student Education Department in St. Lucie County Schools. I'm a program specialist for inclusion and intellectual disabilities. Today I'm going to talk about how St. Lucie County Schools have worked together with FIN, which is the Florida Inclusion Network, to work on the BPIE process. I'm going to discuss inclusion and the path we've taken with BPIE, which is best practices for inclusive education, and how it has developed over the past 2 years. I will refer to it as BPIE, which is the best practices for inclusive education. BPIE is part of the school board academic business plan. Its critical goal 2, which is challenging, engaging, and satisfying schoolwork that enhances the achievement of high academic standards, which will be provided to every school and every student. The key strategy, one of them, is the implementation of best practices for inclusive education for students with disabilities. The academic business plan incorporates everything. It has positive behavior supports, grading policy, response to intervention, school improvement, and state performance plan. Everyone working together will make the best schools possible for all students. The BPIE committee, along with FIN, used this book called Building Inclusive Schools, Tools and Strategies for Success by Ann Halverson and Thomas Neary as a framework to guide us through our process. The law says that students with disabilities should be placed in the least restrictive environment, or the LRE, and that they should have access to the general education curriculum and settings. Let's take a look at what inclusion is before we discuss the BPIE process. Inclusion means educating students with and without disabilities together. Real inclusion means students with disabilities have access to the general education curriculum, classrooms, and other typical school settings and activities. Let's compare what inclusion is and what it is not. Inclusion is all students together for instruction, acceptance and belonging, supports, adaptations, and accessibility, and research-based strategies. Inclusion is not expecting all children to do the same thing, sacrificing the education of students without disabilities, leaving students without support, or watering down the curricula. There are many benefits of inclusion. Some of them are students with disabilities spend more time on academic tasks. Students with disabilities show increased academic achievement as well as social and communication skills. Students with disabilities participate in more school activities and develop relationships with their peers. Students without disabilities benefit from teaching strategies employed for students with disabilities. Students without disabilities learn to value differences. Exceptional student education, ESE, and general education teachers develop new skills. In order for BPIE to work, the necessary supports must be in place. Some of these supports that will help inclusive classrooms are differentiated instruction, multiple intelligences, multisensory instruction, interactive learning, cooperative learning, flexible grouping, integrated curriculum. Let's discuss the development of BPIE and what the purpose is. BPIE is an assessment and planning tool for systemic change. BPIE is an internal assessment instrument to facilitate the analysis, implementation, and improvement of inclusive educational practices at the district, school, and education team levels. Use of BPIE will validate areas of strength in implementation of best practices, as well as identify areas in need of attention to maximize the successful implementation of inclusive educational practices across educational settings for all students. Analysis of data and information obtained through use of BPIE should lead to the development of an action plan, including timelines and persons responsible for implementation and evaluation of specific goals. The BPIE addresses the following areas: values and climate, access to general education, policies and support, which includes leadership, program development and evaluation, instructional support, and pedagogy. The district-level BPIE committee consisted of the following people: Dr. Laura Very-Sidorn from the Florida Inclusion Network, also known as FIN, facilitated the implementation and coordinated the BPIE with us throughout our journey. Other members included principals, assistant principals, exceptional student education teachers, general education teachers, and parents of ESE and general education students. The director of ESE, director of student services, assistant superintendent, ESE program specialists, representative from transportation, representative from FIN, representative from professional development, and a school board member. This allowed us to look at all aspects of the school system, not just one. Everybody was involved. Everyone had different aspects of what was going on. There were approximately 23 members involved in the BPIE process, and we met 2 days and reviewed 36 indicators which were developed by the BPIE process, the book that we talked about at the beginning. Each indicator was voted on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being full implementation. Consensus was established for each one. We'll discuss the voting process a little bit later. Here is an example of what one of the 36 indicators would look like that we saw as we were working. This one says outcome and achievement measures for all students with severe disabilities, regardless of instructional setting, are used for district improvement planning. Number 1 says outcome and achievement measures for students with severe disabilities are not reported to the district. Then if you go all the way to number 5, it says outcome and achievement measures for all students with severe disabilities, regardless of instructional setting, are used for district improvement planning. So we would look at this from a level of 1 to 5, and we would discuss what everybody thought the level should be. Each person was given a set of 5 different color-coded cards numbered from 1 to 5. After indicators were read, each person would hold up a card designated their level for competency of that indicator. This would allow the facilitator to quickly assess the responses from the whole group and lead a 5-minute discussion on items lacking unanimous agreement. Many times there were, let's say, 5 1s, 6 2s, 3 3s, etc. So we would have to discuss why the 3s thought what they did, why the 1s thought what we did, and then go from there. If consensus was not gained, a 4-minute discussion was held to share differing points. Discussion began at the lowest level, and consensus was built at each level before moving up. A few of the indicators were tabled or we had to talk about later because we needed more information. This is a small snapshot of the 36 indicators. At the left you'll see indicator, so we would write down what the indicator was. The score in the middle was the number that the consensus came for the school, for the team. And then comments, just if what we needed to continue, if we needed more information, or if we were going to table it, or if we just needed to add some things. Information was gathered from different sources in order for the committee to vote informatively. Indicators scoring a 1 or 2 were reviewed. This helped with the items that we had already tabled or needed more information. The committee voted individually on the indicators they felt to be part of the action plan. The entire committee decided on the 10 indicators as a whole group that would be part of the action plan. This shows the indicators, their score, and the items that were chosen. This just shows 2 items that were chosen. We chose a district mission statement and that the district personnel are part of a proactive collaborative educational system with parity between general education and ESE. This is just to show you the form that we used, and all the indicators would be written on there. The 10 indicators that were chosen by the team were district mission statement, collaborative system, student scheduling, accessible facilities, strategies to collaboration, hiring procedures, along with collaborative professional development, administrative professional development, FBA BIP key person, which is a functional behavior assessment and behavior intervention plan, and consistent grading. 6 of the indicators were easily remedied. They just needed a person assigned to something or some wording changed, but 4 of them really needed more research and discussion. The committee met again to review the last 4 indicators, which were student scheduling, strategies to collaboration, collaborative professional development, and collaborative system. The group divided itself into 4 groups, and each one concentrated on a different indicator and worked on a plan that they thought would be helpful to implement this strategy, and discussed it with the group. And we're still working on that, and we will continue to work on that till it's completed. St. Lucie County Action Plan, there is a draft action plan that we are working on, and Finn has guided us through the completion of the BPIE assessment and planning tool and the development of an action plan based on our county's needs. This gives you an idea of what the action plan looks like. It has the indicator on the first column, and then the objective of what we're going to do, and some of the strategies and activities, the resources, who's responsible, the evaluation, and the timeline. And many of these are already completed. We're just working on the completion, especially of those last 4. One of the things that came out of this is a unique model that Finn and the St. Lucie County Schools came up with for a full implementation of BPIE. It's like a stepping stone, and if you start at the bottom where it says Least Restrictive Environment Committee, this is a committee that each school will have at their school in order to make sure each student is placed appropriately and in the best environment for them to learn. And this committee includes ESE teachers, general education teachers, a parent, administration, and anyone else that the school feels is necessary for that committee. The next level is school assessment and self-assessment, and this is a needs assessment that the LRE committee will go through and answer questions, and it'll give them an idea of where they need to go and what improvements they need. Leadership for Inclusive Education is a training offered by Finn, and the school sends a committee. A lot of times it's the LRE committee where you have general education and ESE people involved and administration, and anybody who involved in scheduling many times attends. And that just gives a look at how the school can improve in inclusive education, what things they can do and how important it is. Flexible scheduling and planning is another training that Finn does, and also the school board employees, where the schools are trained on how to do scheduling for ESE students first, so that they get the schedule they needed, and then the master schedule is built around it. Inclusion 101 is just a small training that goes over the basic description of what inclusion is and how it works for the entire staff. Accommodations and modifications go through and explain the difference and how to use these in the classroom. Collaborative teaching is through Finn, and that's an ESE teacher and a general education teacher working together, and Finn explains how to do this in the best way, how to make it smooth running in the classroom. Differentiated instruction is offered through the St. Lucie County Schools, and teachers attend this, general education and ESE teachers, and it shows them how to differentiate instruction, what this means, and how to accomplish it in the classroom. Schools will follow these steps in order to reach the best practices for inclusive education, which is BPIE, which we are looking towards. It has been a very rewarding year for St. Lucie County Schools. Schools that have fully embraced inclusionary practices and have the necessary supports in the general education classrooms have begun to reap the benefits by improved student achievement at all levels. Now is the time. The BPIE committee will meet yearly to discuss goals and objectives in order to promote inclusionary practices in all schools and in the community.